Okay, so today we're going to be making peach butter. Peaches. In the bowl, I have 4 pounds of peaches that I have peeled. It is okay to have a little bit of the skin on, but they're peeled and the core has been removed. And the next thing that I'm going to do is put them in the blender. We're going to put most of this into our pot that we're going to be boiling. Going to leave a little bit in. That way it still has the soup at the bottom, so the peaches blend better. This is not all the peaches, we still have some left. All the rest of the peaches. Get your spatula, pour it all in there. All the peaches. Alright, so now we have all of our peaches blended up and they're in our big enameled crock pot. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add the next few things. What we got is we have 4 cups of sugar. 4 cups of sugar, just right in there. And then we have Sure Gel. Now I'm not adding a whole box because it won't need a whole box. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of Sure Gel for how much we have. And the reason why I'm adding that is because it helps it keep its color, and that's really important. Alright, so the next thing that I'm adding is some pumpkin pie spice. Now, pumpkin pie spice is actually optional for this recipe. If you decide to make it without the pumpkin pie spice, then it's just regular peach butter. But if you add the pumpkin pie spice, then it's spiced peach butter. And that's the difference. This is a new container. I'm having to open it. There we go. Pumpkin pie spice. Got a little spoon. And just this much for this whole thing. It don't take a whole bunch. All right. So now that we have everything added, we're going to turn our burner on medium-high and start stirring. Mixing everything together. And it does look really thick, but it does water down once the juice gets released, as the peaches start to break down even more. I don't have to add anything else because it's already fairly liquid. Just stir and stir and stir. One of the very, very important things about this recipe is to continually stir it. You don't want to not stir it for more than a minute because you have so much sugar, and the peaches having so much sugar in them already, it will very, very easily stick to your pan. I really like this recipe, and my husband really likes this recipe, but we really like this recipe, and I entered it into the county fair this last year, and I actually won 2nd place. And the reason why I won 2nd instead of 1st is because I didn't fill up the jar enough. I had to fill it up. I'm breaking up little pieces of sugar is what I'm doing. I didn't fill up the jar enough by a centimeter. And that's because I didn't know that I had to do that. So what I did was I went out and I bought this handy dandy little tool right here. So it actually says on there what the amount of how full it is when you hold it up to the jar. It's pretty cool. So we're just going to be stirring for about 35 minutes until it starts forming really well. And just stir and stir and stir and stir. And while this is going, you want to go ahead and have your water bath going. That way it can be going hot because it's going to be sterilizing your jars. And then whenever it's time to water bath your jars, you're going to be water bathing them in the same thing. So it's very important to have it going right now because you always want to put hot into hot, because if you put hot into cold, your jars will break. And then you'll have broken jars. And that's a bad thing. Alright, so now that this is boiling real good, I can leave it for just a second, and I mean just a second, but I need to put my jars in their sterilizing water in the water bath, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. So here's, grab pot holder, take the lid off, and right in you go. Them falling over is just fine. I'm taking the measuring stick and making sure that they all get nice and good in the water. Very, very important. They have to be sterile inside and out. Inside. There we go. I'll put the lid back on. It's going to keep doing its thing, and while that's doing its thing, I'm going to go ahead and keep stirring this. And stir, stir, stir. Alright, and that's time. Alright, so I'm going to turn this off real quick. Give one last stir so it don't stick. And now we got to take the lid off and get our jars out. So, oh, there we go. Alright. Put the lid right back there so it's out of the way. Now I gotta raise the jars up. Raise the jars up. There we go. I've got my jar holder. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slowly take it out, dump the water out. Have to be really, really careful when you do this part because that's boiling hot water. And put it down on your cooling rack, it's just fine. I have a nice big towel on the other side of this so that they got somewhere safe to be. Just add the water right back to the pot, just fine. You want to make sure that they're standing up. And these are boiling hot jars, very, very hot. This last one's going to be bad. Bad jar. Come here, jar. There we go. That'll work. Comes out. And then stands up. There we go. Okay. I'm going to take this out so that it doesn't rust. And just set it right here for the moment. Alright. I have my jar funnel. Fits nicely into a jar. I have my ladle. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill my jars with my stuff. Get one good scoop. I'll put it in. Okay. And that jar is just about full. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure to see how much fuller it needs. Oh, it needs a lot more. It needs a lot more. It's got to be full enough to go to where the line is. Turn it just a little bit more. Nope, just a little bit more. And that one's good. I'll put that down. Put the lid on. Screw it on real good. This is still really, really hot. Screw that on. And that one's ready for the water bath. But we're going to wait until we get them all full up. This right back on here. Now we got 3 jars. We got 1, 2, 3. If they fall over, that's okay. But you want to kind of make them even out. I'm going to put it back down in there. Lower it slowly. Make sure it covers the top. It's all good. I put the lid back on. And that starts boiling, and that's going to boil for 15 minutes. And at 15-minute mark, we're going to take them back out. So I got this recipe from this cookbook, which was originally made in the 70s, but this is a newer version. It was made in the 80s. And it has a recipe in here for apple butter, but it says that you could also use other things for it, like cherries or peaches, and we're doing peaches today. But on top of this book, I also have my canning journal. And it has different recipes and different things for me. And this is the recipe that I'm following from a couple of months ago. And I'm going to write the revisions on a new page. That way it all has dates for when I do things. But I'm going to put in here right now that it made 3 jars. That way I remember how much it made from everything. Oh, great. All right. Stop. There we go. All right, that means that our jars are ready to come out of their bath. Okay, lid right there. Pull this back up. Gonna get our handy dandy little tool. Get the water off the top. Put it down on the nice towel. That's 1. And 2. And 3. All right. So now these need to cool, and in a little while they will make a, I'm going to go ahead and turn the water off. In a little while they'll make an audible pop, and you will hear that, and that lets you know that the seal is good. I'm going to take this out of the water and put it over here for right now. I'm going to let this water cool, and once it cools completely, we'll put it out on the flower bed so that it's not just poured down the drain, it actually gets reused. Alright, so now that we're done with canning, what we're going to do is we're going to compost all of these scraps. And at the bottom is the eggs that we had for breakfast. We put it in a brown paper bag, and then we're going to put it out in the compost pile. That way we already have everything we need. Oh look, I just heard one go pop. Yay! Let's get all in the bag. All in the bag. If you saw the stickers in there, that's because they're biodegradable too. They're fine for composting. Oh, there goes another one. Now all we gotta do is put it in. That's it.